Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving right into a concept that literally flips the script on how we look at generating passive income with covered options. We are breaking down the absolutely crucial difference between simple profit and free cash flow. If you've ever found yourself, losing sleep over red numbers on your traditional profit margins, you might actually be missing the bigger, much greener picture of your portfolio's health. We tend to focus so heavily on whether a stock price went up or down that we completely ignore the actual tangible cash being pumped into our accounts.
So let me ask you this. Can you actually make money, like real tangible cash that you can withdraw and go spend, while technically taking a loss on your profit statement? I know, it sounds totally impossible, right? Like a riddle or maybe a typo on a spreadsheet. But in the mechanics of covered stock options, it's actually a really frequent reality. We're taught from day one that selling something for less than we paid for it is a failure. But what if that's just one tiny piece of the overall puzzle?
To really get how this works, we've kind of got to rethink how we view our investments. Think of this strategy like running a retail business. Traditional profit? That's just a simple buy minus sell calculation. Did you sell a piece of inventory for more than you bought it for? Yes, profit. No, loss. Actually, scratch that. It's really more like just a snapshot in time. But free cash flow, or FCF, completely changes the math because it looks at the whole business operation. FCF takes your cost basis, compares it to your replacement cost, and crucially, adds in all the upfront premiums you collected along the way. That simple addition of the continuous premium stream, that is the secret engine of this entire strategy. It tracks the actual dollars hitting your cash register. To truly grasp how we can have negative profit but positive cash flow, we're going to quickly walk through 5 steps. The profit versus FCF paradox, the basic engine, the transaction set, the unideal reality, and finally, calculating free cash flow. Let's get right to it. Step 1. The profit versus FCF paradox. Let's firmly establish this wild paradox that makes this specific financial strategy so incredibly fascinating. The source material puts it super bluntly. It says, from one transaction set to another, you may have positive FCF but negative profit. I mean, let that sink in for a second. Your raw profit might look blood red on paper because the stock price dropped between the time you bought it and sold it, but your free cash flow, it can still be securely in the green. You're still growing your overall capital base despite the surface level capital loss on the stock itself. It's a total perspective shift. Moving on to step 2, the basic engine. To understand the magic here, we really need to look under the hood at the engine driving these covered options. So we've got 2 main pistons firing in this engine, the put contract and the call contract. Think of these as the pistons steadily pumping cash into your account. And they both share one absolutely crucial trait. When you write them, you collect a premium upfront, regardless of whether or not the contract is ever ultimately exercised. That is immediate cash in your pocket. Let's break down the put contract first. Basically, a put contract pays you an upfront cash premium to take on an obligation. You're agreeing to buy a stock at a fixed strike price later on if the buyer decides to exercise their right. The best part? You get paid cash today just for making that promise. Even if the market shifts and that contract is never exercised, you keep that upfront payment. It's just a direct, immediate injection of capital into your business. On the flip side, a call contract pays you an upfront premium to take on the obligation of selling your stock at a fixed strike price. Again, the cash is yours to keep the exact second you write the contract. You're getting compensated for agreeing to part with your asset at a predetermined price, no matter what crazy things the broader market does. Whether you're promising to buy or promising to sell, you're functioning as an underwriter. And, well, underwriters get paid first. Okay, step 3, the transaction set. Now let's see how these 2 separate pieces actually link up to form a complete life cycle, which the source calls a transaction set. Now, in a textbook perfect world, a transaction set starts and ends incredibly smoothly. Imagine a super straightforward flow. It kicks off with an exercised put contract, meaning you bought the stock and set your cost basis. Then it ends perfectly with an exercised call contract at the exact same strike price, meaning the stock was called away from you. Because those strike prices match up perfectly, there's zero capital loss on the stock itself, which means every single dollar of premium you collected along the way is pure net profit. Sounds amazing, right? A perfect, neat scenario. But come on, how often does the market actually stay that perfectly neat? Yeah, not very often. As the source boldly reminds us, the ideal rarely exists. The stock market is just constantly moving. It fluctuates day by day, minute by minute. So realistically, the strike price on your put and your call are almost always going to be different by the time a full cycle finishes up. Which brings us to step 4, the unideal reality. Let's look at how those messy, real-world market fluctuations actually build our revenue stream in practice. This is where the profound difference between profit and free cash flow really starts to jump out at you. In reality, you don't usually just write one contract and get assigned right away. Often, you'll sell several unexercised put contracts first. Every single time you write one, you collect a premium, the contract expires worthless, and boom, you keep the cash. You're just quietly stacking up those cash premiums, building a really steady revenue stream month after month. This keeps going until finally a put is exercised, which officially locks in your cost basis as you take ownership of the stock. But all those premiums leading up to that moment, that is pure cash flow. And once you actually own the stock, the exact same thing plays out on the other side with call contracts. You write a call, collect a premium, and if the market doesn't hit your strike, it expires unexercised. You might do this multiple times, adding wave after wave of cash to your premium pool. Basically, you're renting out your asset, collecting income while you hold it, right up until your stock is finally called away in an exercised contract. That whole sequence is generating cash way before the actual profit or loss on the asset itself is finalized. In a calm market, we find what's known as the sweet spot. It's this beautiful, cascading sequence of unexercised contracts leading right up to the exercised ones. Every single premium you collect adds to your total revenue. Now, the golden rule to remember here is that your total accumulated premiums absolutely must exceed any realized capital loss you take when the stock finally changes hands. As long as your pool of collected premiums is deeper than the drop in the stock's price, your business is thriving. Finally, step 5, calculating free cash flow. This is the grand finale where we finally resolve our opening paradox on how to actually calculate that number. Let's trace the whole journey really deliberately. Step 1, filling the initial put order. Step 2, collecting all those unexercised premiums over time. Step 3, establishing the actual cost basis when the put is finally exercised. Step 4, shifting gears to collect the call premiums. And finally, step 5, finishing the transaction set when the call is exercised. The true measure of success here isn't just comparing step 3 to step 5, the stock's purchase and sale price. It's the massive accumulated pile of premiums we collected along that entire twisting journey. That journey is your actual business operation. You really have to think of this strategy exactly like an ongoing business. Free cash flow is your absolute most important metric because it's what provides the actual tangible capital to grow your operations. The math is simple. Total revenue minus net capital expenditure. Profit? That's just a snapshot of your inventory's price change from one second to the next. But free cash flow is the measurement of the actual spendable dollars pumped into your business through continuous operations. It's literally what lets you scale, invest, and compound. Let's break that formula down just a little bit more. Your net capital expenditure is simply your cost basis compared to the replacement cost of the stock. That's the part that might actually show a negative profit if the stock price drops. But your revenue stream, that's all those accumulated premiums from both the unexercised and exercised contracts. It's a completely separate stream of income. So as long as that massive stack of accumulated premiums exceeds your capital loss on the stock itself, your free cash flow is pushed securely into positive territory. You're generating cash, for sure, even if the asset depreciated. When you compare them side by side, it completely demystifies the engine. The contrast is just stark. A surface-level capital loss on the stock trade, say a negative profit of $500, can be entirely eclipsed by the cash flow generated from the options premiums. Say you collected $800 in premiums over the course of the transaction set. Your tax profit sheet might scream loss on the capital asset, but your free cash flow is a positive $300. You're up, you're in the green, and your account is tangibly growing. You won the game because you focused on the cash flow, not just the capital appreciation. So as you look at your own investments and evaluate your strategies, I really want you to ask yourself, are you measuring the real engine of your financial growth, your free cash flow, or are you just getting distracted by surface-level profit? Understanding this paradox is absolutely key to mastering covered options and running your portfolio like a true business. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and remember, keep your focus on the cash flow. See you next time.